Hey class, Professor Z. I just want to go over the week, what we did in class and what you have to do for homework. So, in class, we discussed the introduction and the first chapter of David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. What we were really doing was practicing using the strategies that were introduced in weeks 1 and 2. So, you use the annotation and you use the study questions to break down the reading. You also may have used paragraph patterns as you search for topic sentences. We will do more work with that in class. Sometimes I'll ask you like which paragraph pattern a paragraph in Gladwell follows. So that stuff's going to still be useful moving forward. Once we had discussed the reading, we talked about how to summarize it. So summarization is like the first major writing skill that you've got to master, and pretty much every other writing skill is going to be an extension of that. When you're asked to analyze or evaluate or synthesize or compare and contrast, it all relies on you being able to summarize what other people are saying. So we talked about a basic structure to do a summary of any sort of article or chapter, which was like using the same body paragraph structure that we've talked about, 11 sentences with a rule of three, having three general supporting ideas, and then specific supporting details to support each of those general ideas. And we started practicing, and some of you finished trying to write a summary of chapter 1 of Gladwell. And that was practice. It was a test drive for what you're going to do next week, which after we read Dweck and discuss Dweck, you're going to have to write your own summary of Dweck. The second piece we talked about that connected to summarization was how to use quotes, how to incorporate quotes or textual evidence into your writing. And in your supplemental packet at the very end, pages 85, I believe, to 87, with 86 and a half in there also, we discussed how to do the quotation sandwich. We discussed templates to help you introduce the quote, templates to help you explain the quote, and we talked also a little bit about citation. You'll also notice in the 101 module this week, I added a bunch of resources for how to do APA citation. So when we do Dweck, we're going to use APA citation because it's a psychology article. So I want you to focus on that for now. So that's just a review of what we did in class. And so here's what you have to do this week. And let me start by saying it's not a terribly heavy work week. So if you have work to catch up on, this is the time to do it, because it's only going to get harder moving forward, because essays are going to be coming due, and exams and things like that are going to take a little bit more time. So now is the time to catch up. So first thing that you can do is I put a video walkthrough of the 10 paragraphs in your supplemental packet where you had to identify the pattern and the topic sentence and do a paraphrase. So I walk you through those paragraphs. That's the review SP 58 to 63. That's in your 101, in your 108 module. Then you should complete your what do you already know pre-tests for both 101 and 108. I believe the 101 is going to ask you some stuff about quotation, so a little bit of a review of what we've already started to talk about. And you'll see in 108 is the questionnaires. So there's a questionnaire about mindsets and a questionnaire about grit, and you're going to use those when you do this discussion thread. You're going to reflect on them. So you're going to do those two. What do you already knows? There's two questionnaires in 108. You're going to then read and annotate The Perils and Promises of Praise by Carol Dweck, which is in your supplemental packet on 70 to 76. And then from there, you're going to reflect on the questionnaires that you did. You'll see they have to do with the same subject matter that Dweck's talking about. So what I want you to do in the discussion is, after you've read Dweck, you're going to reflect on the feedback you got in your two questionnaires about grit and mindsets. And then for 101, I asked you to choose quotes for the summary. You will see the assignment in 101 does ask you to do like the quotation sandwiches and submit it. I know in class, at the end of class, I was kind of like, you could just choose quotes. I will say, if you do the sandwiches, I will give you some feedback on them so that you have that like moving into writing your summary. So we'll say that at the very least, you have got to pick your 3 quotes. If you do the sandwiches, I will give you some additional feedback. And then after that, you've got your post tests in 101 and 108, or your what did you learn. The 108 what did you learn is going to be a little bit more involved than they have been the last few weeks. It's kind of like a practice reading exam on the Dweck reading. So it's going to ask you some multiple choice questions about patterns and where's the topic sentence and what's the main point. It's also going to ask you some definitions. It's going to ask you for probably a brief summary of maybe not the whole reading, but parts of the reading. So you can have your book out, your packet out, and your notes and everything when you do that, and take a stab at it and see how you do. And pretty soon we're going to be doing our first actual reading exam, which will be on chapter 2 of Malcolm Gladwell. So this is your last chance to practice and get some feedback and get your confidence up moving into the actual quarterly exam. So good luck this week. And if you have questions, certainly shoot me an email. I will be responding to all your emails from your assignment for me from week 1. I've graded most everything else from week 1, and I'll be moving through the week 2 stuff this week too. So I'll see you next week. And if you have questions between now and then, get in touch.